So the claim came from TBR Football, who do follow us on social media, so well done on that. They've obviously got some good taste. TBR Football have claimed that 26-year-old defender is going to stay at Anfield after starting talks for a new contract. As per the report, the Liverpool star will put pen to paper on a new deal before Christmas. Goes on to say timing is key for the Reds, as the Liverpool defender will be able to indulge in talks with other clubs in January, and his contract situation would allow him to negotiate a pre-contract agreement. None of that is the good news yet. Now we're getting on to the part you want to pay attention to. This part said Liverpool have offered him a huge contract at the club, and his new wages would make him the highest paid English player in the Premier League and put him on par with Mohamed Salah at the club. Now, that would mean Trent's going to be on £350,000 a week upwards. I don't know what to say there. I don't know what to say, whether I believe it or not. I want to believe it because it's the news that we all want. I'm not trying to say Graham Bailey is or isn't a reliable person. I don't know. But I'm going to wait until I get confirmation from a David Lynch or an Ornstein or a Joyce. But look, as I've always said in these situations, it's better to read positive stuff like this than negative stuff, but until we know for certain, it's up to everybody what they want to believe. I'm not convinced as of yet, I've got to be honest with you. I hope he's right. I very much want Graham to be right. And I think I owe an apology. I think I said Graham Kelly on a video earlier on. I got my Grahams confused, so on that one I apologise. But yes, it was Graham Bailey who wrote this piece for TBR Football. And again, I'll let you guys decide whether you think there's truth to it or not. I'm going to put up a poll now to ask you just that. Now, there could on occasion tonight be some lagging. And I apologise. I am having some issues with the broadband. And it's very intermittent at the minute. So I apologise on that. But I'm going to start off the first poll of the night and ask you guys, do you believe the news? Stevie Boy, how are you, bro? Said, does Trent have an obligation to sign for Liverpool because he's a local... I think you meant to say lad there. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt on saying lad there. I don't feel like I have the right to answer that for him. You know, obviously, I would say it makes the decision to leave the club a far more daunting one because you're a local person. Same we've seen with Zubamendi at Sociedad. Same we've seen with many of the Manchester lads coming up at Manchester United or elsewhere. It's definitely a more difficult situation if you're born and bred Scouser, you're playing for your hometown club, you're vice captain, you want to captain it someday. Yeah, I would say it's a difficult one, but does he have an obligation? Honestly, no. And I'm going to tell you why. If you're somebody like Trent and you've had success at Liverpool and you've tasted it and you've won a league title and you've won a couple of League Cups, FA Cup, Club World Cup, Super Cup, the whole shebang, you're going to want more of it. And you're not going to want the club's ambitions not to meet yours. So the way I'm looking at this is, I'm hoping that Trent wants those assurances that the club want to succeed as much as he does. And that they show that with action. And part of that action will of course be extending him, Mohamed, Virgil, but bringing in top-notch signings as well. So I think he can't be anything but impressed with what we've seen so far from Arne Slot's era at the club. Arne's come in, 9 wins from 10. Things are looking pretty good at the minute, but we do have more difficult tests to come. But I don't think he's any obligation to. I do believe it's obviously a more difficult decision, the thoughts of leaving, but, you know, these guys have short careers, and they're in this for legacy. They're in this for trophies. They're in this to be able to speak to the kids and grandkids when they hang up their boots and say, look at what I achieved, look at what I've done, and to have no regrets. Steve Aldis, he said, Trent deserves it if he gives the prime of his career to Liverpool. He's world class for sure. Look, I've no problem. If the club gives Trent 350 grand a week, I've no problem with that, mate. Especially if this means he's committing pretty much the best years of his career to the club. Because Trent's just turned 26. He's coming into his prime right now. Which is scary when you think what he's already achieved. So I've no problem, mate, if they give him 350 grand a week. If it ties him down to the club. And also, this is kind of future-proof in the club. If he signs a 5 or 6 year deal on those terms, well, the club know that nothing can come in and destabilise him at that point without their say-so, because they have him tied down. So I hope it's true, I really do, and I've no problem with the numbers if it is true. Maybe other people think differently about the numbers involved. I understand it, it's an individual thing, but for me, I think we have to pay a stupid bastard tax at this point. And I don't know how to put it any better than that. But the club made this bed and now they've got to lie in it and find a solution, and that solution's probably cost them an extra 50 grand a week. So, you know, if that's what it takes for the club to get it done, then the club have got to get it done. Right, let's check in on the poll. This one's close. We asked, do you believe the new deal for Trent claims that was put out from Graham Bailey and who was that crowd again? TBR Football. So if you want to vote on it, let us know. So far, 54% of people say yes, they do believe the claims, and 46% say no. I would say no, personally, but I want them to be right. I'm not saying that their information is wrong. I just personally need a little bit more of a confirmation. I need one or two more people to start coming out with it. But as I said many times, I'll happily read this type of stuff over Trent's going to Madrid. You know, I don't want to see them stories. I want to see these type of stories about Trent's future at Liverpool. But again, I also don't want us to be all let down and feel disappointed if it doesn't come to fruition. Michelle Ellis said FSG are more bothered about buying a second club, and yet they haven't even done that. Do you know what I mean? Michelle, it's mad. It's like they procrastinate on things way too long. And the fact, look, I find it hard to put any blame on Richard Hughes or Michael Edwards with the contract situations, because they both came into it, particularly Richard Hughes, who of course came in a bit later. It is his job to sort them, don't get me wrong, and he has to make sure he gets these deals done. But I don't really put any blame on Richard Hughes for coming into this situation. It was one that was of the club's making, and we should have sorted out a long time ago. I've yet to meet anyone, whether it's David Lynch, Aldo, anyone who thinks that Liverpool haven't taken their eye off the ball with the Trent situation. There's no denying it. And as David said, there's no way of glossing over this if Trent leaves. There's no way of explaining this away if you can't get him to sign an extension. Quite simply, failure isn't an option here. You have to get Trent tied down to a new deal, because, and again, I'm sorry that I can't phrase this better. I don't mean to be scaremongering, but I am genuinely concerned about the reaction if Trent moves on, because it's an understandable and it's a fair reaction to be almightily pissed off if this deal doesn't get done. You've got every right as a fan to feel disappointed in the club, in the owners, and to ask the questions about how we ended up here. Even the fact that we are here now having this conversation, to me, is unacceptable. But, you know, you and I and everybody else watching this, we can't make a change here. We can't give Trent a new deal. I just don't understand how we got here. Aaron said 350k a week is Casemiro money. It is, but, you know, Casemiro's fallen off a cliff, really, hasn't he, form-wise, over the last year or so at United. Cohen said, Craig, the reports of a 350,000 a week contract aren't official. I didn't say they were, mate. And I never once tried to say they were official. Every single part of this stream, I've said this is a report that I can't substantiate, but I've asked people their opinion on. So, you know, I don't know if it's true or not. He's on about 200 grand a week now. And with the contract situation as it is, let's be honest, he's going to have to get a significant pay rise. Because he knows, and we know, that Real Madrid are just waiting. And if this isn't sorted out by January, we have a problem. Because then, legally, he can speak to Real Madrid and any club outside the Premier League, as could Mohamed Salah and Virgil van Dijk. So, what would have probably felt like a £250, or excuse me, a £250,000 contract a week extension last year, now is probably getting closer to a £300,000 to £350,000 a week contract extension, because we've left it so long. And, you know, that's nobody's fault but Liverpool's, if we're being honest about it. Benjamin said, King Craig, I'll take that, bro, I'll take that. Why on earth haven't the club sent out statements to the big three, put pressure on them, or even drop them until it's sorted? Harsh but needed. So, one, I have to respectfully disagree with you on that, Benjamin. I find it difficult to be critical of the players when, to the best of our understanding, they haven't been offered anything to reject. So, you know, I don't find it fair to criticise Trent or Virgil or Mo when they haven't been given an offer. You know, we heard from Virgil van Dijk and Mohamed Salah to say that the club hadn't contacted them yet to start these. Now, this was a while back. So I find it difficult to be critical of them when they've said they'd like to stay at the club. It's up to the club to get that done. And if you do let them go this late, and you do run the rule of maybe losing them for free, you've got to expect that you're going to have to pay more at that point, because their options are going to increase. Do you think Real Madrid would pay Trent 350 grand a week? No, not a chance. No, I don't. Real Madrid seem to be a club that want players to want to play for Real Madrid and have this tactic lately of trying to get players on the cheap. Camavinga, Alaba, Trent Alexander-Arnold are going after. You know, players that are running down their deals or in the last year of their deal. And they won't pay Trent £350,000 a week. I don't believe they would. But he's worth £350,000 a week to Liverpool, would be my thoughts on it. You know, because there's no explaining away losing Trent on a free contract to the fans. They're like, even the most sympathetic of FSG Liverpool fans out there, or FSG supporting Liverpool fans out there, there's no polish in that turd. There's none. You know, you cannot explain away losing Trent. There's nothing to... There's no PR that's going to gloss that over. Dean said he's young and in his prime. Why not pay it? Again, I don't know, Dino, if you mean for us, mate, or Madrid. For us, pay it. You know, we don't have to replace him, so you don't have a transfer fee there to look at. And let's say we did replace Trent. Big transfer fee to replace him, most likely. Or even if it was a Frimpong, that's 40 million quid plus his wages. So yeah, pay Trent. And if you can tie him down for 5 or 6 years, you're going to have the best years of Trent's career at his hometown club. Yeah, get it done. Us to pay. Yeah, I agree, Dean. But the sad part is, mate, for a club that are so frugal, for want of a better term, I feel like we've screwed ourselves here. Like, let's say we got this done a year ago for 250 grand a week. That's 100 grand a week in the difference over 5 or 6 years that the club will have to pay out now for delaying it. And yes, they would have saved money in the short term, maybe over that 1 year that they haven't extended them since, but longer term, it just feels like a false economy. So that's why I've said all the way through this, I don't understand any rationale behind it. You don't save money. You're running the risk of pissing off fans. You're running the risk of destabilising Arne Slot on the team in his first year. There's no logical explanation for this from the club's perspective. There just isn't.